So, what does it mean to not take the pen from God's hand? Well, I think it's pretty simple and pretty obvious. You need to let God write His story for your life. But I know that that can be extremely difficult for us as humans and in this society because we always want to know what's ahead of us. We always want to be in control. But sometimes when you're a believer, you need to submit. You need to let God take the wheel. Let me give it to you in a different example. Maybe you'll understand it this way. Let's say you're going away, right? Let's say you're going on a trip to some tropical island or whatever, and you need to take an airplane there. Let's say you get into the airplane, right? And then instead of turning left, you turn right. You go straight to the cockpit where the pilots are. And you ask the pilot, hey, can I fly? They would look at you like, what? You know, that's pretty absurd. Like, why? What are you doing? Like, you don't even have the experience. You don't have the knowledge. You don't have the know-how. You don't know how to fly a plane. And obviously, if I give you that example, you can't imagine yourself doing that because it's so absurd to take control of something you don't know how to even take control of. So then why are we like that sometimes with God? Why do we want so badly to know what's to come? So badly to know the challenges and the difficulties and the speed bumps that we may face ahead of us? Why do we want to know so badly what's our future going to be like? Well, I think that's because we want to prepare for it. We want to know what's ahead of us so that we can know how to handle it, so that we can know exactly what to do when that challenge or when that particular event comes and takes place. I mean, it's obvious. Like, if you are driving at night, you wouldn't want to turn your headlights off. You wouldn't want to not be able to see what's ahead of you because if there's like a speed bump or a pothole there, you're gonna want to avoid it. But the thing is, what I'm noticing, at least with this relationship that we have with God, sometimes we have to go through certain seasons, go through certain hard and difficult patches so that God can prune us, God can grow us, God can develop us into the person that we need to be. I mean, for me, I saw perfumes, and there was one day at the shop, I was feeling pretty down. There were like 2-3 days of absolutely no sales. So then one of the people that I work with was like, why don't you go to these different shops in the mall and maybe try and get them to sell your perfume? Get into a store so that you can have more foot traffic, more eyes on the product. And I was like, hey, that's actually a good idea. I don't know why I didn't think of that. So then I didn't pray before I did that. I think this was very early on in my faith. So I just went. I pitched to like 5-6 stores that afternoon, and you know how many of them actually said yes? You know how many of them actually even listened to me? 1. Now, for all my mathematicians, 1/6, I don't know what percentage that is, but that's pretty low. Like, imagine getting 1 out of 6 in a test. That's a fail. But, you know, the thing about it is, although I failed that day, although I think I failed, God didn't think that I failed. I think God saw that as me putting in an effort and maybe having faith that something might change. After that, I actually got pretty down after I got all those rejections, but God ended up coming through for me that day after I had come back to the store and, you know, gotten all my emotions out. Someone came into the store and actually ended up buying 2 perfumes. And I think that day, I tried to take control. I tried to take initiative for myself and maybe try and do something for my business, which is not a bad thing. I'm not saying don't take control. I'm not saying don't take initiative and go out there and do stuff, but you need to also have faith that God has a plan for you. You need to also have faith that the rejection and the pruning and the difficulties that you have faced are all going to be things that grow you and lead you closer to Him. I mean, there's scripture that specifically says this. I think it's Deuteronomy, however you guys pronounce that. Deuteronomy 31 verse 8. It reads, "The Lord Himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid and do not be discouraged." Truth is, that day I was super discouraged. I was super sad and I was super beat up and let down because it's like, I have such a good product. I'm such a good, nice person, and I feel like I approached them right, but there was something that I wasn't doing right, and I only really discovered that when I started pitching to more people. It's that I didn't have experience. I went in there completely like cold turkey, no script, just wanting to let my perfume speak for itself, which is not a particularly bad thing, but there's certain things that God needs to put you through first in order for you to be able to achieve or do the things that you want to do. I know for me personally, pitching to those people, to those stores and those store managers just on a whim like that, cold turkey, it helped me be more comfortable with rejection. It helped me be more comfortable with things not going my way. And at that particular point in time, I didn't notice that. And I didn't really feel that from God. But then the next time I did it, it felt better. It felt smoother. It felt more fluent. And that's something that God was trying to teach me that I didn't really notice or recognize at first. Sometimes God is going to teach you something and put you through something that you're not going to notice as a teaching. The thing is, if you're going to ask for patience, God is going to make you wait and see, like, okay, after this, you're going to be a really patient person. If you're asking for strength and for wisdom, God is going to put you through a dry season in your life where absolutely nothing is happening, and you're going to have to try things. You're going to have to figure out different methods and different paths to take. But in doing so, one of those things are going to work out. And that's the thing. We either trust the process, whatever the process means. Everyone is always saying trust the process. But what does that really mean for us as believers? For us as believers, I think that means trusting His process. Because He has a way of pruning us and of growing us. And that way is through putting us through those things so that we can grow from them. Let me bring another scripture into this. Maybe this will make more sense. I think this is Proverbs. Yeah. This is a beautiful verse. Proverbs 19 verse 21 reads, "Many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails." We can try and write this story however we feel like will be best for us. We can try take the pen into our own hands, try take initiative, but at the end of the day, it says here it's the Lord's purpose that prevails. Whatever the Lord wants us to do, whatever He feels like is best for us, that is what's going to prevail. And the thing is, most of the time, it doesn't make sense. Most of the time, it's going to be completely odd and completely out of the ordinary. Like, why do I have to go through so much rejection? Why, when I walk into the store, people are going to look at me like with disgust? That was the first time I ever experienced that, and it actually hurt a bit. But I have to go through that in order to grow and to learn that sometimes rejection is my friend. Sometimes that rejection is the thing that I need in order to grow and to be a better speaker, to pitch better, to add different things, to split test and see, okay, if I say this, this is the reaction I get. If I say this, this is the reaction I get. Sometimes we need to go through it in order to learn from it. And oftentimes it's not going to make sense. But it doesn't need to make sense. We don't need to understand God's plan for us. Only He needs to get that. Let me leave you with one more verse as I let this plane pass by. This is really good. Matthew 6 verse 34. If you're going to take anything away from this video, please just take this verse. Take it into your day, take it into the plans that you have, and surrender and submit them to God, because therefore do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. So, if the scripture promises us that God will be with us and that God will provide for us, that means we don't have to worry about provision in the long run or in the future, because we understand and we know, and the scripture says that He will provide when the time is right. The scripture says we don't need to worry about tomorrow, because tomorrow is its own thing. Yesterday, I tried to record this video like 4 times. There was something on my mouth, there was noise, nothing was working. The video will probably never go up, but I didn't worry about today. I didn't worry about when's the next video topic gonna come, how am I gonna shoot it. I just prayed and I had faith, and now I'm here, and now I have scripture, now I have ideas, and now I have a video. I think we're like 10 minutes now, but if you've reached this far, you shouldn't worry about tomorrow. I'm not saying don't plan for it. I'm not saying, let go of all the things that you had planned for the future. But do so, plan knowing that things may not go the way that you want them to go, but God is in it. If you let Him come into your plans, if you abide, if you trust that He will provide for you at the right time, and whatever plan that you have for the next day, if it doesn't go your way, it will go His way, but His way is the right way. Just trust and believe that. You will have way more peace, and you will be way more fluid and proficient in whatever that you're doing. Involve Him into it. Pray, seek Him out. Ask Him to help you. Things will go way smoother, I promise. I hope you have a good day.